Imagine this scenario. A guy tying the knot with not just one, but three ladies. Sounds offbeat, right? Now picture living up on a mountain with three spouses. Crazy fantasy, you might think. But hold your horses, because that's actually happening in a specific place. Enter Bhutan, a tiny country nestled in the heart of South Asia, surrounded by the majestic Himalayas. It shares borders with China to the north and India to the south, east, and west. Its capital? Thimphu. Now, Bhutan isn't just famous for its jaw-dropping mountain landscapes. It's got this unique vibe centered around something called gross national happiness, where they value life quality over economic wealth. But wait, there's more to Bhutan's story. It's also known as one of the most secluded nations on the planet, owing to its remote location. So, how did Bhutan end up in this international hermit mode, and with this quirky setup where a dude can have multiple wives? Well, let's take a quick history dive. We're talking way back to the 7th century, when Buddhism first stepped foot in Bhutan, courtesy of Guru Rinpoche or Padmasambhava. Buddhism left its mark, shaping Bhutan's cultural and social scene. Fast forward to the 17th century, and boom, Bhutan was standing tall as an independent nation, led by Lama Ngawang Namgyal. So picture this. Back in the day, Bhutan was like a bunch of local princely states, all doing their own thing. Then this dude comes along and says, "Hey, let's get our act together." And boom, he establishes this administrative setup based on these badass complexes called dzongkhags. They were like the Swiss Army knives of buildings. Part fortress, part administrative hub, part spiritual center. These places were the backbone of Bhutan's politics and religion. Now, fast forward to the 17th and 18th centuries, and Bhutan was basically in a tug-of-war with Tibet. Tibet was all about expanding its influence, and Bhutan was like, not on our watch. Cue a bunch of conflicts, shakeups in leadership, and squabbles over land. Then, enter the British Empire. They waltzed in and were like, we'll sort out these border squabbles. That led to the Sinchala Treaty in 1865, drawing a clear line between Bhutan and British Bengal. For a long time, Bhutan was like, nope, we're good, keeping its distance from outside influences. It wasn't until the swinging 60s that they officially opened their doors to the world. This whole isolation thing played a big role in preserving Bhutan's cultural identity and ancient traditions. Over time, they brewed up this unique blend of Tibetan, Indian, and local tribal vibes, making Bhutan unlike anywhere else. Throughout the 20th century, Bhutan stood its ground, keeping its sovereignty intact and its cool culture alive, steering clear of colonial domination and external pressures. With India gaining independence in 1947, Bhutan ramped up its relationship with the Southern Giant, leading to the 1949 Treaty of Peace and Friendship. That deal was a big deal, setting up a framework for cooperation in defense and foreign affairs. Meanwhile, Bhutan embarked on an administrative renewal spree, rolling out significant economic and social reforms, and opening up to international interactions. Cracking open to the world, the country saw a turbocharged boost in its economic and social development. Then in 2008, history was made with the introduction of a democratic constitution, all thanks to King Jigme Khesar Namgyel Wangchuck taking the lead. Despite its resource limitations, Bhutan has been clocking in consistent economic growth. In the pursuit of reducing poverty and pushing forward social development, Bhutan switched gears to a constitutional monarchy in 2008. This switcheroo was marked by King Jigme Singye Wangchuck stepping down in favor of his son, Jigme Khesar Namgyel Wangchuck. The new constitution paved the way for a democratic government system, representing a deep-seated transformation in how the country is run. Diving into Bhutan's economy, you'll find some unique and fascinating stuff. This country stands out for embracing an economic model that puts gross national happiness, GNH, above gross domestic product, GDP. Yep, they're all about chasing happiness and well-being for their folks, not just economic prosperity. Bhutan gets props for its commitment to sustainable growth, preserving culture, and boosting societal well-being. Here, they look at GDP through a broader lens, considering not only economic progress but also stuff like healthcare, education, social equality, environmental protection, and cultural preservation. So, what's the deal with their actual economic structure? At the core of Bhutan's economy is agriculture, mainly focusing on crops like rice, barley, and maize, among others. Livestock farming, especially cattle rearing, plays a vital role in the economic life and livelihoods of local communities. Bhutan's tourism scene is making waves as a profitable economic activity. The country's got this unique tourism strategy, putting a cap on the number of tourists to promote sustainable and high-quality tourism. To pull this off, they slap visitors with a daily fee covering lodging, meals, guide services, and transportation. Meanwhile, Bhutan cashes in on its rich natural resources, with hydropower being a major player. Selling electricity, especially to India, brings in a hefty chunk of revenue. Smart management of these resources is crucial for securing long-term advantages. Bhutan's commitment to sustainable development deserves a shout-out, aiming to balance economic progress with environmental preservation. Moves like banning hunting and pushing for sustainable farming methods show they're serious about it. In 2023, Bhutan's gross domestic product hit about $3 billion. But hey, let's not ignore the notable economic challenges Bhutan faces. There's a heavy reliance on a limited number of income sources and a pressing need to diversify the economy for future stability. The country grapples with economic hurdles, especially due to its rugged terrain and harsh climate, which put a damper on agricultural activities. Additionally, Bhutan's tourism sector, crucial for its economy, is exposed to instabilities stemming from international economic and political changes. To tackle these risks, the Bhutanese government has been focusing on strengthening fundamental sectors like education, infrastructure, and sustainable development. What do you think about that? If you're enjoying this content, don't forget to like, subscribe to the channel, and share the video with anyone who might be interested. Your participation is crucial for us to keep offering fascinating documentaries like this one weekly. Moving on to another intriguing aspect of Bhutan, it's worth noting that the country accepts and legalizes polygamy. Interesting, right? In Bhutan, both men and women are allowed to have more than one marital partner, with everyone's consent. This practice might seem strange to individuals from cultures that traditionally practice monogamy. Polygamy in Bhutan is predominantly practiced by men and is often associated with economic and social benefits. A man with multiple wives can increase his possessions in terms of land and cattle, as well as his offspring, bolstering his influence and ensuring a large lineage. However, polygamy can also bring complications, including jealousy and rivalry among wives, which sometimes result in family discord and domestic violence. The Constitution of Bhutan, enacted in 2008, doesn't directly address the issue of polygamy. However, as stated by the Bhutanese Civil Code, a man is allowed to marry up to 4 women. With the advancement of modernization and the increasing influence of the West, this practice has become less common in the country. Nonetheless, in some rural areas, polygamy persists. According to the census conducted in 2022, around 5% of marriages in Bhutan are polygamous. This custom is particularly more prevalent in rural areas, where 10% of marriages are polygamous, in contrast to the 3% observed in urban regions. Now here's a thought-provoking question. Would you consider the possibility of living in Bhutan and having 3 wives? Share your opinion in the comments. As for Bhutanese women, they are distinguished by their striking features, such as predominantly dark hair and eyes, often black, and full lips. Natural beauty and elegance are characteristic traits of these women. They often dress in colorful and elegant traditional attire and are admired for their bravery and determination. Responsible for various household and community functions, women play a vital role in Bhutanese culture. Proud of their traditions and country, Bhutanese women are pillars of society, embodying courage, versatility, and beauty, and serving as role models for women around the globe. The value of family is central in the lives of Bhutanese women, who wholeheartedly dedicate themselves to the well-being of their children, partners, and parents. They also actively engage in social and spiritual events, reflecting a growing and transformative role in Bhutanese society. With the advancement of education and more active participation in the political sphere, women in Bhutan are at the forefront of the fight for women's rights, making their presence known as notable and inspiring figures. What's your take on the role of Bhutanese women? Drop your comment below. On the flip side, Bhutan stands out for its unique and breathtaking geography. Situated in South Asia, this landlocked country is bordered by China to the north and India to the south. Its geography is dominated by spectacular mountains, which are part of the mighty Himalayan range. The highest point in Bhutan, Gangkhar Puensum, reaches an impressive height of around 7,570 meters. The country is also home to a vast number of monasteries and shrines, among which the Parotaktsang, or Tiger's Nest, stands out. Built in 1692, this monastery shines as a magnificent representation of traditional Bhutanese architecture and craftsmanship. It's almost like floating in the sky. The monastery sits in an almost mystical way, perched on a steep slope, rising more than 3,100 meters above sea level in the majestic Himalayan mountains, being only surpassed in elevation by the Hongpu Monastery, located in Tibet. Bhutan's mountains give way to rugged valleys, shaped by the action of rivers and their tributaries, which host human communities and areas dedicated to agriculture. The Amuchu River, with its tributaries, plays an essential role as a water source for the country, being crucial for hydroelectric power production, one of Bhutan's main economic pillars. The country is equally blessed with lakes considered sacred, such as Parocho Lake and Kwekchiopori Lake, revered for their spiritual and cultural significance. Bhutan's geographical diversity leads to a variety of climates, ranging from subtropical in the lower regions to alpine climate in the high areas. Such diversity has a notable influence on Bhutan's rich biodiversity, encompassing a wide range of plant and animal species. Despite being a small-sized country, Bhutan stands out as a biodiversity hotspot, boasting an extraordinary variety of wildlife and vegetation. The country practices a strict environmental conservation policy, showcasing its dedication to environmental protection. Positioned strategically between the autonomous region of Tibet to the north and various Indian states to the south, east, and west, Bhutan sits in a geopolitically significant location. Bhutan's landscapes are marked by a complex topography, where rugged terrain limits access to many areas, making them reachable only by narrow and winding trails, while some of the most remote locales are accessible only on foot. Thimphu, the capital, lies in the beautiful Wangchu River Valley on the western side of the country. Bhutan's unique geography is fundamental to the culture, economy, and everyday life of its inhabitants. Its majestic mountains and vast valleys not only beautify the landscape, but also shape the nation's peculiar identity. Within Bhutanese society, monks hold a prominent position, being pillars of the preservation of Buddhist faith and traditions. They dedicate themselves to a daily routine of study, prayer, and meditation. From the age of 12, many young people in the country choose to join monasteries after completing their basic education. In these sacred spaces, they are educated in various disciplines, including logic, mathematics, and martial arts, as well as refining their reading and writing skills in Dzongkha, the official language of Bhutan. Nestled in hard-to-reach spots, monasteries in Bhutan serve as vital hubs for education and cultural preservation, creating an ideal environment for monks' spiritual practice and growth. These folks play multiple roles in society, serving as mentors, spiritual guides, and community authority figures. Plus, they're the ones who conduct religious rituals and festive events. The country boasts around 20,000 monks, the vast majority educated in the precepts of Tibetan Buddhism, showcasing the nation's rich spiritual heritage. Monks in Bhutan are true pillars of local culture, providing the community with teachings, advice, and spiritual insights. For those planning to visit Bhutan, it's handy to have an idea of the costs they might encounter. Accommodation in the country can be more affordable than expected, with options for comfortable stays and breathtaking views at reasonable prices. On the flip side, food expenses can be relatively high. For instance, the price of rice hovers around $2 per kilo. Chicken starts at $5 per kilo, while beef can cost around $10 per kilo. When it comes to food, prices can be a bit steep. For example, a typical meal like imadachi, which is a delicious soup made with green peppers and cheese, can go for around $10 at mid-range eateries. Another traditional dish, chakampile, averages around $6. While finding reasonably priced accommodation in Bhutan is relatively easy, food costs can weigh heavier on visitors' budgets. This is largely due to the limited amount of productive farmland in the country and the need to import a significant portion of food to meet local demand. Bhutan presents itself as an extraordinary destination, brimming with history, unique culture, and breathtaking landscapes, ranging from towering mountains to the warm welcome of its people. Here, the connection with nature is inevitable and profound. Have you ever considered the idea of visiting or even living in Bhutan? Do you think you could fully enjoy everything this country has to offer? Share your thoughts in the comments. And if you enjoyed this content, don't forget to like, subscribe to the channel, and share the video with friends who might be interested. We bring documentaries like this one to you weekly. And next up, we'll present a fascinating video about an Asian country that's little known to the Western world. Stay with us for more discoveries. Until the next video.